In the countryside of Southern California, there lived a man named Benjamin Mee. He was a journalist specializing in adventures, but of all the experiences he had ever lived through, being a father was by far the hardest. He raised his 2 children alone, 7-year-old Rosie and her older brother, Dylan. One morning, while driving them to school, he argued with Dylan because Dylan was not putting enough effort into his studies as he should. Dylan was far more talented and motivated in drawing, something he cared about much more than school. He was convinced that he would still pass the year, especially considering that his mother had died just 6 months earlier. It was later revealed that Benjamin was actually very admired by women. However, since losing his wife, he avoided any kind of relationship. He also stayed away from places that reminded him of her, fearing the pain those memories would bring. His brother, Duncan, who cared deeply for him, urged Benjamin to open up again to other people. Duncan was convinced that Benjamin would recover if only he dared to take a step forward. When Benjamin pitched an idea for a new article to his boss, it was rejected once again. His career there seemed to be over, though he was probably being kept out of pity rather than true necessity. Because of that, Ben decided to quit his job. On his way out, he received a call from Dylan's school. Dylan had been suspended for the 3rd time in a month for stealing. In addition, the principal showed Ben a disturbing drawing made by Dylan, a man with his head cut off. The principal explained that his son had now received 4 official warnings, and therefore he would be expelled from school. Rosie, once again, could not sleep at night because their neighbors were having a party that went on for hours. The next day, Ben, Rosie, and a real estate agent went to look for a new house to start a new life together. None of the houses they visited convinced him, until they arrived at a large estate. For Ben and Rosie, it was love at first sight. He decided he wanted to live there, even though he had not yet explored the entire house. The agent warned him of some complications, and suddenly a powerful lion's roar echoed from outside. It turned out that the property was a zoo, which had been active until 2 years earlier. Whoever bought the estate would have to take care of the animals inside. Benjamin reconsidered and wanted to see other houses. But when he saw how happy Rosie was at the idea of living there, he decided to buy the zoo despite the risks. According to Duncan, Ben was making reckless and dangerous choices for his life, and he warned him of the consequences. But Ben was determined. Moreover, 75% of the zoo's revenue came during the summer, which would begin in just a few months. There was still time to restore the zoo and reopen it to the public for profit and for the animals' sake. Dylan did not take the news well. He would have to leave behind his current life and friends. Benjamin's family moved in, and shortly afterward he met Kelly, the head zookeeper, along with the other workers. Kelly's cousin Lily, who was 13 years old, was also there and immediately showed an interest in Dylan. Benjamin seemed like a fish out of water there. He was later given a tour of the animals. Kelly explained the most pressing issues, including medical costs for the animals and the zoo's facilities. It was also revealed that she was divorced. She explained to Benjamin that the zoo's current situation was very difficult, so she was devoting all her energy and passion to keeping it alive. That evening, Ben went to the bar on the property, where all the employees gathered to drink. A drunk Peter rambled about wanting to kill Walter Ferris, the man who would come to inspect the zoo. He accused Ferris of stealing his patents and clever solutions for the zoo. Some of those present were convinced that Ben would not last long. Meanwhile, Dylan did nothing but draw, while Lily often dropped by to bring him a sandwich and keep him company. Benjamin continued to be overwhelmed with mounting costs and endless payments as the days went by. One night, after driving about 18 miles just to buy butter at the nearest store, he met Kelly. Ben brushed her off, insisting he would finish his chores at the zoo. He and Rosie went to give water to the tigers, while Dylan had to make sure the garage lights were turned off. Rosie revealed to Ben that Dylan loved him, but was angry because his friends never came to visit him. The garage turned out to contain a box full of newly arrived snakes that had not yet been placed in cages. Dylan opened the box. At the sight of so many snakes, he ran away in fear and forgot to close it again. The next morning, Dylan and Ben began to argue. Shortly after, they discovered that the entrance to the house was completely overrun with snakes. Dylan knew he was the one responsible. His father called the other zoo workers to help collect them all. Meanwhile, father and son continued to quarrel about what had happened. Dylan could not take it anymore, kicked one of the snakes away, and went back inside the house in anger. Benjamin told Kelly that he did not know what to do with his son. On the other hand, Kelly admitted that she had not expected Ben to last this long at the zoo instead of giving up. Suddenly, a car sped toward the property, and Lily immediately warned the whole team to be on alert. It was Walter Ferris, who had come early for an unscheduled inspection. The official inspection was actually scheduled for 7 days before the grand opening, at which point it would be decided whether the zoo was fit to open or not. Meanwhile, Peter was furious with Walter, so he was locked in a room. The inspector was in charge of checking the animal's condition as well as the general maintenance of the zoo. At the end of the visit, Benjamin made a list of all the points that needed to be fixed, which would require a large amount of money. Later, while driving with Dylan, he encountered Buster, a 300-kilo American grizzly bear that had escaped from the zoo. Thanks to his team, they managed to stop and recapture him. After seeing how happy Buster was while free, Benjamin decided to expand his enclosure. Soon after, a veterinarian transported him back home, adding another heavy fee to pay. That evening, all the zoo workers gathered at the bar. Ben admitted to Kelly that he was very attracted to her, but that he wouldn't pursue it. Later, he put on an old sweatshirt that had belonged to his wife, and inside it he found a receipt for a safe deposit box. The next day, Rhonda discovered that the zoo was running out of funds, and she warned everyone not to trust Benjamin. She was convinced that the zoo would soon be sold for little money. Meanwhile, Ben asked his brother Duncan, an accountant, for advice about what he had found. His wife had left him $84,000, which she referred to as circus money. She had also left a note telling Benjamin to follow his heart and not listen to his brother. But for Duncan, it was a clear sign that Ben should abandon the failing idea of opening the zoo and start over elsewhere with that money. Lily once again brought Dylan a sandwich and told him what she had overheard, that they would be leaving soon. Dylan seemed very happy about it, which hurt Lily's feelings. Benjamin gave a speech to all the zoo workers. At first, it sounded like a farewell, but then he explained that this was the greatest adventure of all those he had ever written about as a journalist. Therefore, he wanted to carry on with the zoo project, using the money his wife had left behind. The days went by with everyone working hard. One evening, while Benjamin and Rosie were shopping, the cashier realized he was the owner of the zoo she adored. She advised him to make sure he was there with his family on opening day. Meanwhile, Spar, a 17-year-old tiger, continued to cause problems by refusing to eat. One day, she climbed onto a large boulder, hungry and dehydrated but unwilling to come down. Lily suggested that big cats hated loud noises. So after everyone made a loud commotion, Spar finally decided to come down. At that point, Benjamin had to call the vet to put her down, but he couldn't accept it. Because of this, he and Kelly argued. She insisted that he had no experience and should trust her. That night, Kelly came to Benjamin's house to take care of his children while he was away. When he returned, Benjamin shook Kelly's hand and confessed that he had thought this place would free him from his wife's memory. At their old home, everything reminded him of her, even the smell in the air. Moreover, Dylan had the same eyes as his mother. Dylan overheard everything, and as soon as Benjamin walked into the house, he accused his father of hating him, which was why they were always quarreling. The next day, Benjamin observed Spar and decided it was time to put her to sleep. Dylan joined him. He told his father that he was having trouble with Lily and didn't understand what he had done wrong. Ben then taught him the 20 seconds of courage technique, where just 20 seconds could change a life. That evening, Benjamin discovered a drawing of a tiger's face among Dylan's sketches. He revisited old photos on his wife's computer and relived some happy memories buried in the past. The next day, he showed Dylan the new posters to promote the zoo. One of Dylan's drawings had been used for them. It was the last day before the inspection, so Duncan came to help as well. During the inspection, Kelly discovered that the door to Solomon the lion's enclosure was faulty. She called for help on the walkie-talkie, but Walter overheard and rushed to the spot. Peter realized something was wrong and hurried over. While Kelly distracted Solomon, Peter entered the enclosure and fixed the lock just in time. The zoo passed the inspection and received the permit to open to the public, and everyone jumped with joy. The following days were stormy. News reported that the summer was expected to be the wettest in the last 100 years. Dylan ran to Lily and confessed his feelings using 20 seconds of courage. She reciprocated, and the two had fun together afterwards. On opening day, the sun shone brightly, lifting everyone's spirits. Kelly reassured Benjamin that many people would come. The opening time was set for 10 a.m., but no one seemed to be arriving. Sensing something was wrong, Dylan discovered that a large tree had fallen across the road. Because of it, no one could get through. They all worked together to help people climb over the obstacle, and soon the zoo was filled with visitors. Benjamin and Kelly happened to meet at a coffee shop to fetch more tickets, which were selling out fast. He confessed his feelings to her and kissed her. Ben hoped it would happen again. A few days later, Benjamin took Dylan and Rosie to Little Dom's, the place where he had first met their mother. He explained to them what had happened that day, how he had seen her from across the street and decided to talk to her, using 20 seconds of courage. That was where their story began, and with that the story ends here.